The objective isn't confrontation, it's infiltration. We take Varick's documents, leave before anyone realizes we were here. 2 weeks of planning, observation, pattern mapping. He kept meticulous records of all transactions, including those Kasimir preferred to keep secret. They separated, Asher disappearing across the rooftops with surprising agility for someone so socially awkward. Cornelius crossed the space in 2 long steps, hand covering the man's mouth before sound could escape. Soft metallic clicks, absolute concentration. 40 seconds, payments, bribes, illegal agreements with foreign merchants, tax evasion through false routes, all meticulously documented because Varric was the type of man who didn't trust even his own allies. "Take everything," Cornelius ordered, pulling out a leather bag. "We'll catalog later." They were transferring the documents when they heard footsteps, heavy, climbing the stairs. A guard's hoarse voice calling, "Mr. Martin, everything all right up there?" "I heard a noise." "Time up." Tenil and Cornelius exchanged glances. The window, it was the only exit. Cornelius gestured silently and both moved, grabbing the bag now full of documents, going to the office window. Cornelius opened it, cold night air entering. Down below, 3 floors of direct drop, 2 stones. But beside it, at a distance of maybe 2 meters, another building with accessible roof. "Jump," Cornelius whispered. "I'll hold here, buy time." "No, we jump, boy." Cornelius's voice now had military command authority. "Protect the documents. That's the mission. I'll catch up to you." There was no time to argue. Tenil climbed onto the windowsill, the cane firmly gripped in one hand, the bag in the other. Wind pulled at his overcoat. 3 floors high. 2 meters distance. He jumped. For a moment, suspension in air, wind whistling in his ears, the world reducing to velocity and distance and gravity. Then his feet hit the neighboring building's roof, knees flexing to absorb impact, body rolling instinctively as Cornelius had taught. Pain exploded through his shoulder where he hit tiles, but he still had the bag, still had the cane. Alive, he looked back. Cornelius was still at the window, but now the office door was opening. Lantern light spilling, guard's voice shouting surprise. Cornelius turned, and Tenil saw the gleam of steel and knife in his mentor's hand. Then Cornelius also jumped, crossing the space with the grace of someone who had done this hundreds of times. He landed beside Tenil, rolling, already on his feet again. Run. They ran across the rooftops, jumps between buildings, external stairs, dark alleys. Behind them, shouts, lanterns, but in complete darkness, pursuit was almost impossible. 5 minutes of desperate running, and they finally stopped in a deep alley, both breathing heavily, hearts pounding. "First rule," Cornelius said between breaths. Never get trapped in a place without exit. Always identify escape routes before entering. "Where's Asher?" Tenil asked, looking around. "Here." The voice came from above. Asher hung from a fire escape, those strange eyes gleaming. "I got copies too." From the skylight, as planned. "No one saw me." He descended agilely, landing soundlessly. So, double quotes. Asher looked between the two. Mission accomplished. Cornelius checked the bag, confirming the documents were intact. Then, surprisingly, he smiled a real smile, not his usual cynical one. "Mission accomplished. Welcome to the real world, boy." He clapped Tenil's shoulder. "You didn't die. That's already a victory." Tenil felt something warm in his chest. Not pride he had made mistakes, almost been caught, depended on Cornelius. But he had done it. Really done it. Fenrir's first operation. First success. And in the documents in that bag, possibly the first real pieces to destroy Kasimir. Tenil was practicing alone in the training field. Lord Ares had a military meeting elsewhere, leaving the space empty, except for some distant servants. His body was still sore from the operation. An ugly bruise blooming on his shoulder where he'd hit the roof, but he forced himself through the movements. Descending strike. Block, spin, thrust. Repetition until muscles memorized. "You're moving differently." Estella's voice made Tenil spin. She stood at the edge of the training field, arms crossed, those intense blue eyes studying him with surgical precision. Different how? Tenil lowered the training sword, trying to appear casual. More confident, more ... dangerous. She walked closer, circling him slowly. 2 weeks ago, you held that sword like a noble playing at soldier. Today, you hold it like someone who knows they might need to use it for real. Something changed. Tenil kept his expression neutral. Just training more seriously, like you suggested. No, it's more than that. Estella stopped in front of him, eyes fixed on his. You have new bruises. Not from sword training, the kind you get from falling from high places. And your hands, the blisters healed, but there are new calluses forming. From holding rope, maybe, or climbing walls. Shit. She was too observant. Estella, I don't know what you're... Don't insult me by lying. Her voice became sharp. I told you I wanted to be involved. That if you were going to do something against Kasimir, I wanted to participate. And you agreed. But then you disappeared. Train here some mornings, but always seem distracted. Like you're thinking about somewhere else. About something else. Tenil studied her, mind working quickly. Asher had taught him in the last weeks to read micro-expressions, body language. And what he saw in Estella wasn't malicious suspicion. It was ... hurt. Feeling excluded. She really wanted to be part of something. And he was leaving her out. If I told you I'm involved in something dangerous, something that could cost you everything, ... would you still want to know? Yes, without hesitation. Even if it means operating outside the law. Even if it means betraying your class. Even if it meant you could never return to the life you know. Estella took a step closer, and there was fire in her eyes now. Tenil, I've spent 21 years being a decorative piece, being trained as a warrior, but never allowed to fight. Being offered in marriage to nobles who see me as a trophy. Her voice trembled slightly, not from fear, but from contained rage. If you're finally doing something real, something that matters, and you're leaving me out because you think I can't handle it, then you don't know me at all. Tenil made a decision. Cornelius had said to test her. Maybe it was time. Tomorrow night, midnight, there's an abandoned warehouse in the Port District, Anchor Street, number 23. Come alone. Wear dark clothes. Nothing that identifies you as noble. And Estella. He held her gaze. Don't tell anyone, not your father. Especially not your father. She studied him for a long moment. This is a test. Yes. And if I pass, then you become part of something bigger. Something that will change everything. Estella smiled, and it was a predatory smile. I'll be there. Estella arrived exactly at midnight, punctual as any soldier. She had followed instructions, practical, dark clothes, hair braided tightly, the two swords on her back, but without golden ornamentation this time, wrapped in dark cloth. The warehouse was apparently empty, just shadows and dust and silence. But she knew how to recognize ambush, knew when she was being watched. I'm here, she said to the darkness, alone as requested. Movement, 3 figures emerging from the shadows simultaneously. To the left, an older man, robust, powerful face, covered by scarf but unmistakable posture of veteran warrior. To the right, someone younger, thin, strange eyes gleaming even in the little light. And ahead, the central figure. Dark suit, long overcoat, hat pulled low, black scarf covering face, and in his hands, a cane with silver wolf's head that seemed to capture what little light there was. The voice that came from behind the scarf was different, deeper, slightly hoarse, with cadence that wasn't exactly Tenil's, but could be. Subtly altered. Stella Aries. Thank you for coming. Who are you? She kept her hand near the swords, not threatening, but ready. For now, you can call me Wolf. The central figure took a step forward, cane tapping lightly on the wooden floor. Talk, talk, talk. Ominous sound echoing. These are my associates. We don't need names yet. We need to know if you are what you claim to be. And what do I claim to be? Someone willing to fight. Someone tired of being a piece in political games. Someone who wants real purpose. The wolf circled her slowly. Someone who hates Kasimir enough to risk everything. All of that is true. Estella followed him with her eyes, keeping all three in her field of vision. Basic strategy. Words are easy. Action is different. The thin figure on the right spoke, voice soft but penetrating. You say you can fight. Prove it. Before Estella could respond, the older man on the left moved fast for his size, drawing a training sword and attacking without warning. Instinct overcame thought. Estella blocked, her own swords coming out of sheaths in fluid movement, wood hitting wood with thunder sound in the enclosed space. She hadn't had time to remove the cloth wrapping them, but it didn't matter, the blades responded like extensions of her body. The man attacked again, brutal sequence strikes, testing speed, reflexes, technique. Estella blocked, dodged, counterattacked. Not defensively, aggressively. 2 swords against 1 created advantage she used without mercy. 30 seconds of fierce combat. Then the man withdrew, lowering his weapon. "Cornelius," he said, pulling down the scarf, revealing a face marked by scars and eyes that assessed with approval. "And you, girl, know how to really fight. It's not performance. It's real skill." Estella breathed heavily but maintained guard. This was the test. "First part," the wolf replied. "We needed to know if you could defend yourself. Now we need to know if you can attack. If you can do what's necessary, when necessary." He gestured, and Cornelius pulled something from a nearby bag of straw doll, human-sized, dressed in rags, and pinned to the doll's chest a piece of paper with a name written, Kasimir. Simple. The wolf said, "Show us how you would kill the man who killed your friend, your father's friend. Show us the rage that burns inside you." Estella looked at the doll, at that name, and felt something dark and hot rise in her chest, memories of dead commanders, of her father crying silently, of injustice never corrected. She advanced, not with elegant training room technique, with fury. First sword cut where neck would be, decapitation. Second sword pierced where heart would be. Then kicks, strikes with fists until the doll was in pieces scattered across the floor. When she finished, she was breathing hard, hands trembling slightly, sweat running down her forehead, and something in her chest that was part catharsis, part shame for the violence she had unleashed. Silence. Then, slowly, the wolf began to clap. Dry sound echoing through the warehouse. "Welcome, Estella Aries." He approached, extending gloved hand. "Welcome to Fenrir's hounds." She blinked. "The ... what?" "It's the name of our organization." The thin figure explained, those strange eyes gleaming. "Fenrir. The wolf of mythology, and his children, Skull and Hati. We are the pack. Aju, if you accept, will be Skull, the one who chases the sun, the sword that shines in darkness." Estella looked between the 3 figures, processing a secret organization, operating in shadows, hunting enemies. And they wanted her. "What exactly do you do?" "We build power where Kasimir can't see," the wolf replied. "In the shadows, in the underworld, among people he ignores. We'll bring him down. Not on an open battlefield where he's strong, but piece by piece, ally by ally, until he's isolated and vulnerable. This will take years. Yes, but revenge worth having always takes time," Cornelius added. "The question is, do you have patience? Do you have determination? Can you live a double life, noble by day, something more in the shadows?" Estella thought of her father, of empty training, of political marriages, of life without meaning, and then thought of doing something real, something dangerous, something that mattered. Oh yes. She extended her hand, gripping the wolf's firmly. "I accept, Skull, the one who chases the sun." She smiled. "I like that." Then it sealed. The wolf turned to the others. Cornelius, old raven, mentor and founder, pointing to the thin figure. Asher, Hati, the one who sees what's hidden. Then he slowly pulled down the scarf, revealing his face. K. And I am Tenil Vorten, Fenrir, the wolf. Estella didn't seem surprised, just nodded, as if confirming suspicion. I recognized your posture, your movements. The voice was good, but not perfect. She smiled. But thank you for trusting me with the truth. We are for now, Tenil said, voice returning to normal. Fenrir's core, but we'll grow, recruit others, build cells. Spread our influence. He looked at each of them. This is the beginning of something that will change the kingdom, forever. The four stood there. In the abandoned warehouse, illuminated only by moonlight, filtered through broken boards. And for a moment, the future seemed clear. Dangerous, violent, uncertain, but clear. Fenrir's hounds had gained their first prey. Rain fell in thick curtains over the port district, transforming the stone streets into muddy rivers that reflected the weak light of lanterns swaying in the wind. The dark harbor, a tavern of dubious reputation frequented by mercenaries, smugglers, and those who preferred to do business away from the eyes of the law, was surprisingly full for such a miserable night. Inside, smoke from cheap tobacco and the sour smell of old beer created a dense and suffocating atmosphere. Men drank in dark corners, conversations in whispers, occasionally interrupted by harsh laughter or the sound of fists hitting flesh when some argument escalated. No one paid particular attention to the solitary figure in the farthest corner, a middle-aged man with unkempt beard. Worn clothes, but still of sufficient quality to suggest he'd had better days. He drank alone, eyes constantly scanning the environment, nervous fingers drumming on the stained wooden table. Marcus Vel, former captain of Lord Kasimir's guard. Now an informant selling secrets of his old master to whoever paid enough. And tonight, he had sold to the wrong person. Outside, four figures watched through fogged windows. All dressed for invisibility, dark clothes soaked by rain, faces obscured by hoods and scarves. The wolf, Skull, Hottie, and the raven. The complete pack for the first time in operation. He's alone, Asher whispered, those heterochromatic eyes practically glowing even under the hood. Body language suggests extreme nervousness. He knows he's in danger, but hasn't yet identified where it will come from. 2 exits, Estella pointed. Main door and back door that leads to the alley. Both visible from where he's sitting. Smart positioning. Not smart enough. Cornelius grumbled, smoking his pipe even in the rain, the ember protected by his enormous hand. There's a 3rd exit, 2nd floor window, and he has no angle to watch it. Tenil studied the target through the fogged glass. Marcus Vel had sold information about Kasimir's troop movements to 3 different noble houses in the last month. Information that proved false, creating tensions, almost starting armed conflicts. He was an agent of chaos, working for his old master, spreading deliberate misinformation. And the documents stolen from Varric's warehouse had revealed generous payments from Kasimir to Vel, payments for consulting services that were obviously something much dirtier. This wasn't a theft operation. It was elimination. Not necessarily death. Cornelius had been clear that death created martyrs and investigations, but neutralization, making Vel useless to Kasimir, too scared or too compromised to continue operating. Asher, you enter from the front, Tenil instructed, voice low but clear. Just another drinker. Position yourself close but not obvious. Estella, you and Cornelius through the back door. Block any escape attempt. I'll go through the 2nd floor window. When I give the signal, we move. And the signal is? Estella asked. Tenil raised the cane slightly, the silver wolf's head reflecting weak light. When he sees this, he'll know something is wrong. That will be the signal. Then we close all exits simultaneously. They separated. Asher entered through the main door, immediately blending with the crowd, just another young man looking for cheap drink. Cornelius and Estella disappeared around the building toward the back. Tenil climbed the external iron stairs leading to the second floor shape, rental rooms for sailors who needed a bed for a few hours. The window he'd chosen overlooked an internal staircase that descended directly to the main hall. He forced the window with a tool Cornelius had taught him to use, the click of the latch yielding muffled by the noise of rain and conversations below. He entered silently, water dripping from his overcoat. From the top of the stairs, he had a clear view of Vel. The man was still drinking, but his eyes were more alert now. He had noticed Asher, noticed that the strange young man with different eyes had chosen a table very close to his. He suspected, but wasn't yet certain. Tenil descended 3 steps. 4. The old wood creaked slightly under his weight. Vel looked up. His eyes met Tenil's, or, rather, met the shadowy figure at the top of the stairs. Face obscured, but the cane visible. Specifically, the silver wolf's head that seemed to capture all available light. Recognition, instant terror. Vel stood abruptly, chair falling backward with a crash. He spun toward the main door, but Asher was already standing, blocking the way with movements that seemed casual but were perfectly calculated. Vel changed direction, running for the back door. He crossed the hall, pushing other drinkers, shouting something incomprehensible. He reached the door, threw it open, and found Estella on the other side. Her 2 swords unsheathed, crossed in an X blocking the passage. Behind her, Cornelius's imposing figure. Trapped Tenil descended the rest of the stairs slowly. Deliberately, talk, talk, talk. The sound of the cane against wood echoing through the sudden silence that had fallen over the tavern. All eyes on him now, but no one moving. Because this was neutral territory, and intervening in others' business was a quick way to end up in a ditch. Marcus Vel. Tenil's voice came out altered, deeper, more threatening. We need to talk. I don't know who you think I am, but ... Vel tried, voice trembling. Don't insult us both with lies. Tenil stopped 3 meters away. You're Kasimir's informant. You sell deliberate misinformation. You cause chaos. And now, ... He struck the cane on the floor once, a loud and final sound. This ends. Vel looked around desperately. No exit. 3 figures surrounding him, and the 4th blocking any hope of escape. His hands went to his waist, where a knife was hidden. Asher was behind him before he could draw, one hand gripping his wrist with surprising strength for someone so thin, the other pressing something cold and sharp against his ribs. No, Asher whispered in his ear. You don't want to do that. What ... What do you want? Vel choked. Money? I have money. Information. I can want you to deliver a message to your master. Tenil interrupted. Tell Kasimir that the wolves are hunting. Tell him that his shadows have shadows now. And tell him, ... double quotes. He leaned closer, voice dropping to a whisper that still carried through the deathly silence. That we know everything. Every dirty transaction. Every secret alliance. Every skeleton in every closet. He stepped back, gesturing for Asher to release Vel. You have a choice, Marcus. Continue working for Kasimir, and the next time we meet, it won't be conversation. It will be your last night. Or ... double quotes Tenil. Let the word hang. You disappear. Leave the city, change your name. Live a quiet life far from here, and we forget you existed. And if I tell Kasimir about you, Vel tried, voice still trembling, but with a spark of defiance. Tell him. Tenil smiled behind the scarf, knowing his voice would carry the smile, even if it wasn't visible. Tell him there's an organization in the shadows hunting him. Tell him they stole compromising documents. Tell him they know everything. He took a step closer. And then see how quickly he kills you for failing to protect those secrets. For becoming a liability instead of an asset. The color drained from Vel's face, because he knew it was true. Kasimir didn't tolerate failures. Didn't protect those who became weak. I'll leave, Vel finally said. Tonight, I'll be out of the city before dawn. Wise Tenel turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Marcus, if you change your mind, if you think about coming back, about trying revenge, ... Remember this night. Remember how easily we found you. And know that next time, there will be no conversation. He gestured, and the four began to exit. The tavern remained silent long after they had disappeared into the rain. And Marcus Val, hands trembling uncontrollably, grabbed his coat and ran. The warehouse Cornelius had acquired to serve as temporary operations base was significantly better than the first where Tenel had trained still officially. Abandoned, still hidden in an industrial area no one visited at night, but there had been effort to make it functional. Hanging lanterns provided adequate light. There was a central table with maps and documents, chairs that wouldn't collapse under weight, and most importantly, a fireplace where fire now burned, driving away the damp cold the rain had brought. The four entered soaked, removing hoods and scarves, finally allowing themselves to relax now that they were in safe territory. Successful operation, Cornelius declared, hanging his overcoat to dry near the fire. Vel will run, and Kasimir will know something is hunting him. Seed of paranoia planted. He'll investigate. Asher observed, removing his own glasses to wipe the water, fully revealing his heterochromatic eyes. Kasimir is intelligent. He'll try to identify who stole the documents, who scared Vel. Let him try. Tenel replied, also removing hat and scarf, finally looking like himself again. All clues lead to ghosts. Two identities that don't exist. We left nothing that connects to the real Lord Tenil Vorten. Estella was checking her swords near the fireplace, cleaning water from the blades with careful cloth. She looked up. He was scared. Real fear. You saw his eyes when he recognized the cane. Yes. Tenel sat heavily in a chair. Adrenaline was beginning to dissipate, leaving exhaustion in its place. Fear is a useful tool. More useful than death, sometimes. Dead man can't spread stories. Terrified man spreads many. Interesting philosophy coming from someone who swore bloody revenge. Cornelius commented, but there was approval in his voice. You're learning. Real power doesn't come just from violence. It comes from control. From making strategic choices instead of emotional ones. I still want blood, Tenel admitted. Still want to see Kasimir destroyed. But I've learned that destruction has many forms, and some are more satisfying than simple death. Asher was on the other side of the room, organizing the stolen documents into categories, those long fingers working with meticulous precision. He spoke without looking up. Estella was impressive tonight. The way you blocked the exit, perfect positioning, exact timing. And you didn't even hesitate when he pulled the knife. You expected him to try. Estella smiled slightly. Training, years of it, learned to read combatants' body language. He was positioning his feet wrong, weight in the wrong place. He was either going to run or attack. 50-50, I prepared for both. You read physical movement. Asher finally looked at her, those strange eyes fixing on hers. I read emotional movement. Together, he tilted his head in that strange way of his. We're quite efficient. Something passed between them. Brief, almost imperceptible. But Tenel noticed the way Estella's eyes paused a fraction of a second longer. The way Asher didn't immediately look away as he normally did. Connection, mutual recognition. Cornelius also noticed that small smile touching his lips as he lit his pipe. You four are beginning to function as a real unit. That's good, essential. But, ... double quotes. He released smoke slowly. For isn't enough, especially when one of us, he pointed the pipe at Tenel, has to maintain noble appearances during the day. You can't be in all operations, and sometimes we'll need to act on multiple fronts simultaneously. You're suggesting expansion, Tenel said. Not suggesting. Stating we need to. Cornelius walked to the table, pointing at the map. Kasimir has a network spread across the entire city, the entire kingdom. We have ... 4 people. And however talented they are, numbers matter. We need operational cells. People on the street, at the docks, in the markets. Eyes and ears everywhere. And more importantly, Asher added, joining them at the table, we need specialists. Cornelius teaches combat and strategy. Estella is a warrior. I read people. Tenil is leader and noble face. But there are gaps. We need someone who knows the real criminal underworld. Someone with connections none of us have. Someone who can investigate without raising suspicions. Do you have someone in mind? Tenil asked. Cornelius and Asher exchanged glances. Then Cornelius nodded. 3 people, actually, each with unique skills. Each with their own reasons to hate Kasimir or the system he represents. He pulled 3 pieces of paper from the pile on his desk, placing them in front of Tenil. 3 names, 3 profiles. Raya Pharaoh's mercenary, exceptional fighter. Deep hatred for nobility. Works at the docks, but has reputation in the underworld. Malric Somber, ex-inquisitor. Obsessed with truth, was exiled from the Order for questioning methods. Now sells independent investigation services. Illyria of Ashes, seer, exiled from her temple. Says she has prophetic visions. Most think she's fraud, but some swear she really sees the future. Tenil studied the names, feeling something tighten in his chest. Expanding meant trusting more people. Meant more risks. But Cornelius was right, they couldn't do this alone. How do we recruit them? He asked. Carefully, Cornelius replied. Each will be tested, like we tested Estella. We need to know they're loyal, capable, and willing to operate outside the law. And more importantly, we need to know they won't sell secrets back to Kasimir. I can read them, Asher offered. When we go to recruit, I'll be there. I'll know if they lie, if they hide divided loyalties, if they're trustworthy. Good. Tenil nodded, taking the papers. Then we start next week, but slowly, one at a time, and only if they pass all tests. Estella had approached, reading over Tenil's shoulder. Raya Pharaoh's. She said the name slowly. I've heard of her. She fights at the docks, extremely talented, but has a reputation for being ... difficult. Very proud, doesn't like taking orders. Then she'll get along with you. Asher commented, that strange smile appearing. Estella looked at him, one eyebrow raised. What does that mean? You're also proud. Also don't like taking orders. Asher tilted his head. But you've learned that sometimes following orders is a way to achieve bigger goals. Maybe Raya can learn that too, if the right person teaches. And you think that person is me? Maybe. Asher returned his attention to the documents. Or maybe you two will just kill each other. 50-50, Estella snorted, but there was a smile playing on her lips. She was beginning to understand Asher's strange humor, to recognize when he was teasing versus when he was being serious. And against all expectations, she was beginning to like him. Cornelius watched the interaction with those penetrating eyes, smoking silently. Then he spoke, voice carrying the weight of experience. You 4 are becoming more than a team. You're becoming family. And that's dangerous. Why? Tenil asked. Because family creates weak points. Creates hesitations. When you care about someone, you make decisions based on emotion instead of strategy. He paused. But it also creates strength. Loyalty that can't be bought. Trust that can't be broken. And if you can balance the two, then necessary professionalism and the real human connection, then maybe, just maybe, you'll have a chance against someone like Kasimir. Silence fell over the warehouse. Just the crackling of fire and the sound of rain on the metal roof. Each processing those words, understanding the truth in them. They were becoming something more. And that was simultaneously their greatest strength and greatest weakness. Then we'll expand carefully, Tenil finally said. We'll recruit these 3 people. We'll build cells. We'll grow our pack. But ... He looked at each of them. We four remain the core. The center that holds everything together. Agreed. Estella was first. Yes. Asher nodded. Always. Cornelius tapped ash from his pipe. Now, go sleep. You have double lives to live tomorrow, and I have contacts to make. Next week, we begin recruitment. They separated in the rain, each returning to their normal lifestyle to mansion and noble responsibilities. Estella to her father's property, Asher to his rented room in a mediocre district, Cornelius to his own shadowy conspiracies. But something had changed. They were no longer individuals working in parallel. They were a pack, and packs protected their own. Estella and Asher ended up walking in the same direction, pure geographical coincidence, nothing more. Their return routes passed through the same streets for at least 15 minutes before diverging. The rain had diminished to fine drizzle, more mist than water, creating halos around street lanterns and making the world soft and blurred. They walked in silence for a few minutes, the kind of comfortable silence that arises between people who do not feel the need to fill every moment with words. But eventually, Estella broke the quiet. You were good tonight, at the tavern. The way you blocked Vel before he could draw the knife. Thank you. Asher replied, hands in pockets, eyes fixed ahead. You too. Perfect timing. Cornelius is right. You know, about us working well together. Yes. Asher paused, then added, it's strange. Strange how? I never ... double quotes, he searched for words. Connected well with people. My way of being, my eyes, the way I see things others don't see. People find it ... uncomfortable. I make them nervous. So, I spent most of my life alone. And that was ... acceptable. Normal, he finally looked at her. But you three? Tenil, Cornelius, you. You don't seem uncomfortable. You don't treat me like a freak. Estella considered this. Maybe because we're all freaks in some way. Tenil is a noble trying to become a criminal. Cornelius is a warrior who became a shadow advisor. I'm a woman trained as a soldier in a world that thinks I should wear dresses and smile politely. She smiled, and you a mind reader with magic eyes and a tendency to say truths people prefer hidden. We don't fit normal categories. So it makes sense we fit with each other. Asher stopped walking, turning completely to face her. Those heterochromatic eyes, one intense orange, the other light, amber fixed on hers with an intensity most would find disturbing. But Estella didn't look away. She held it, curious. You're not afraid of me, Asher said, and it wasn't a question. It was a marveling observation. Why would I be? Most people are. When I look at them like this, when I say things that reveal their secrets, they get defensive, or nervous, or aggressive. Well, Estella crossed her arms, but not defensively, casually. I don't have dirty secrets, or at least, none that shame me. So look all you want. Asher studied her for another long moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled, not that strange smile of his, but something more genuine. You're impressive, Estella Aries. She blinked, slightly caught off guard by the direct compliment. You too, Asher Kale. The drizzle continued, falling softly around them. The world reduced to a small circle of lantern light, and two young people standing there, seeing something in each other they hadn't expected to find. We should ... double quotes, Estella gestured vaguely. ... continue, before it's too late. Or too early. Technically, yes. Of course, Asher resumed walking, but there was something different in his posture now. Lighter, less tense. They walked a few more minutes until reaching the point where their routes diverged. Estella paused, turning to him again. Asher, yes. Thank you for not pretending to be something you're not. For just ... being you. It's refreshing. He tilted his head in that characteristic way. "Thank you for not treating me like an aberration." "You're not an aberration. You're extraordinary," she said simply, then turned and began walking toward her father's property. Asher stood there for a long moment, watching her disappear into the mist, those words echoing in his mind. Extraordinary. No one had ever called him that before. Strange, yes. Disturbing, frequently. Useful, occasionally. But extraordinary. Atiz smiled a small smile. Private, just for himself, and began his own walk home. And for the first time in a long while, Asher Kale didn't feel alone. And so, another chapter of our saga concludes, but the tapestry of time still holds many plots to be unveiled. To not miss the unfolding of upcoming events and continue the journey with us, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Leave your like so more listeners discover our tales and share this story with those who also yearn for new legends. What was your favorite moment from this narrative? Leave your comment below and prepare for the next chapter that will soon echo here.